Look, we've seen the headlines before, we've seen the rhetoric, and we've seen the posturing for decades. But what has unfolded over the last 48 hours feels fundamentally different. As the sun set over the Levant, the news broke like a thunderclap. Welcome back to Money Over Power, where we decode the strategic moves that mainstream media won't show you. Today, we're breaking down the reality of Trump's 1000 troop deployment and why the Iran-Israel conflict has reached a point of no return. This is the analysis of a shifting global map, and you need to see the full picture. Before we dive in, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a move on this global chessboard. Let's get into the breakdown. Donald Trump has authorized the immediate deployment of 1,000 elite troops from the 82nd Airborne Division to the Middle East. Now, if you follow military strategy even casually, you know that the 82nd isn't sent for routine patrols, peacekeeping photo ops, or building schools. They are the tip of the spear, a rapid reaction force designed to be on the ground, combat-ready, and jumping out of planes in under 18 hours anywhere on the planet. This isn't just a deployment. It's a loud, vibrating signal to Tehran that the era of strategic patience is officially dead. But as these boots hit the tarmac, the world is asking one terrifying question. Is Israel actually on the brink of collapse? Reports are flooding social media with words like destruction and total defeat, claiming that Iranian missile swarms have finally punctured the myth of the Iron Dome. But before we get swept up in the panic of the 24-hour news cycle or the sensationalism of TikTok clips, we need to take a breath and look at the actual chessboard. We need to analyze why a man like Donald Trump, who built his entire political identity on America first and bringing troops home, is suddenly rushing them into the mouth of a volcano. We need to talk about the technical reality of Iran's newest Fatah hypersonic missiles versus Israel's multi-layered defense systems like Arrow 3 and David's Sling. Most importantly, we have to look at the global economic kill switch that sits in the Strait of Hormuz. Because if this escalates, it's not just about a regional border dispute or religious ideology. It's about your gas prices, your retirement fund, and the very stability of the global trade routes that keep the modern world spinning. This is the breakdown of a crisis that could redefine the 21st century. Let's start with the sheer scale of what's happening on the ground in Israel right now. For years, the Iron Dome was seen as an impenetrable shield, a technological marvel that allowed life in Tel Aviv to continue almost normally even while rockets flew overhead. It was the gold standard of air defense. But military strategy is a constant game of cat and mouse. Iran hasn't just been building bigger missiles. They've been studying the math of attrition. They have shifted from firing sporadic rockets to what we call saturation strikes, launching hundreds of drones, cruise missiles, and ballistic projectiles simultaneously. The goal isn't just to hit a specific building. It's to overwhelm the computer processors of the defense systems. When you have more incoming threats than you have interceptors in the air, the math simply stops working in your favor. This is where the destruction narrative comes from. We are seeing verified footage of impact sites near sensitive military installations, airbases, and infrastructure hubs. It's a psychological blow as much as a physical one. For the first time in decades, the Israeli public feels a sense of vulnerability that wasn't there before. The invincibility has been punctured, and into this vacuum of security, the United States has stepped in with a massive show of force. But why only 1,000 troops? Some critics say it's too small to win a war, while others say it's the tripwire that starts World War III. The reality is that these 1,000 troops represent the logistics backbone. They are the specialized units needed to secure airfields, manage advanced missile defense batteries like the THAAD system, and ensure that if the U.S. needs to launch a full-scale intervention, the door is already wide open. Trump is playing a high-stakes game of maximum pressure too. He's showing Iran that he's willing to put boots on the ground, while simultaneously keeping his phone line open for a deal. It's a classic madman theory approach. Make the enemy believe you are ready for the absolute worst-case scenario so they feel forced to take the exit ramp. Now we have to address the elephant in the room, the Iranian perspective. For Tehran, this isn't just about Israel. It's about regional survival. They have spent 40 years building what they call the axis of resistance. They've watched American interventions in Iraq and Libya, and they've concluded that the only way to prevent a similar fate is to have a deterrent that can reach Tel Aviv and Riyadh within minutes. The recent strikes on Israel weren't just a random act of aggression, they were a demonstration of reach. By hitting targets near the Dimona nuclear facility and major air bases, Iran is telling the world that no inch of the Middle East is off limits if their own sovereignty is threatened. But this demonstration has come at a massive cost. Israel's retaliation has been surgical and devastating. We are talking about the destruction of Iranian drone factories, missile assembly lines, and even cyber attacks that have crippled their domestic energy grid. This brings us to a dangerous crossroads. If Iran feels that their conventional military is being systematically dismantled, do they reach for the nuclear option either literally or figuratively? This is why Trump is rushing troops. He isn't just protecting Israel. He is trying to prevent a scenario where Iran feels so desperate that they trigger a regional meltdown. He's putting a lid on the pot before it boils over. But as any historian will tell you, the Middle East is a place where even the best laid plans go to die. One stray missile hitting a residential high-rise or a U.S. warship could turn this controlled escalation into a total conflagration that no one can stop. But there's a third player in this room that nobody is talking about enough, and that's the global economy, the hidden war. Iran knows it cannot win a conventional long-term war against the combined technological might of the U.S. and Israel. So they have a poison pill, the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow stretch of water is the jugular vein of the global energy market. If Iran feels backed into a corner where their regime's survival is at stake, they have the capability to mine the strait, deploy swarms of suicide boats, and sink tankers, effectively choking off 20% of the world's petroleum supply overnight. If that happens, we aren't talking about a regional conflict anymore. We're talking about a global depression. We're talking about gas lines in Ohio, factory closures in Germany, and food riots in developing nations. This is the leverage they are using against the White House. Trump, on the other hand, is trying to use the 82nd Airborne and the increased naval presence as a deterrent against that very move. It's a standoff of nerves, a game of chicken played with aircraft carriers and oil tankers. While the missiles fly and the troops march, there is a frantic, desperate diplomatic dance happening. Behind the scenes, reports suggest a 15-point ceasefire plan has been drafted in the dark corners of neutral capitals, with countries like Pakistan acting as the crucial backchannel to prevent a total catastrophe. Pakistan occupies a unique position. It has a border with Iran and a long-standing military relationship with the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. If a deal is reached, it will likely be because of these quiet intermediaries who are trying to convince both sides that a win on the battlefield isn't worth the loss of their civilization. The reported plan involves a freeze on Iranian enrichment in exchange for a massive, immediate lifting of economic sanctions, but the sticking point remains Israel's security guarantees. Israel wants the Iranian missile threat neutralized permanently. Iran wants its regional influence recognized as a fact of life. So where does this leave us? We have to look at the Trump factor. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump's foreign policy has always been defined by unpredictable leverage. During his first term, he famously pivoted from calling Kim Jong-un Little Rocket Man to shaking his hand in the DMs. He is trying to replicate that here. By sending 1,000 troops, he is telling the Iranian leadership, "I am ready to fight, but I would rather talk." It's the ultimate big stick diplomacy. But the risks are astronomical. Unlike North Korea, the Middle East has dozens of non-state actors, militias, proxy groups, and rogue commanders who might not wait for an order from Tehran or Washington before pulling the trigger. We are essentially watching a high-stakes poker game where the players are betting with the lives of millions. As we sit here today, the clock is ticking. Every troop transport plane that lands in the region, every missile that slips through the Iron Dome, and every emergency session of the UN Security Council moves the needle closer to either a historic peace deal or a generation-defining war. We are watching history happen in real time, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Is this the beginning of a new Middle East, or the end of the old one? The next 72 hours will likely tell us if we are headed for a new dawn of stability, or a very long, very dark night of conflict. One thing is certain, the world we knew 3 days ago is gone, and what comes next depends on the decisions made in the bunkers of Tel Aviv, the halls of Tehran, and the West Wing of the White House. This isn't just about geopolitics. It's about the future of the international order. It's about whether diplomacy still has a place in a world dominated by hypersonic missiles and drone swarms. As we conclude this analysis, it's important to remember that behind every troop movement and every strategic map, there are real people. Civilians in Israel, families in Iran, and young American soldiers crossing the Atlantic. War is never a clean game of chess. It is messy, it is unpredictable, and it is permanent. We have to hope that cooler heads prevail. But we must also be prepared for the reality that the red line has already been crossed. What do you think? Is Trump's deployment a move toward peace or a step toward a larger war? Can the Strait of Hormuz remain open, or are we looking at an economic collapse? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one of them because in times like these, the conversation is just as important as the news. If you found this deep dive helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are committed to bringing you objective, strategic, and safe analysis of the world's most complex conflicts as they happen. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and thank you for watching. That's the strategic breakdown for today, and the next 72 hours will be the ultimate test for this region. If you found this analysis valuable, make sure to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see the real story. Don't forget to subscribe to Money Over Power for more deep dives into the global chess game that others miss. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is this a path to peace or a countdown to a larger war? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.